Number 7. I am your host, Brian. I'm here with my brother, Brett. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
Today, we've got a good, quick one. We're going to be discussing the NCAA tournament, Utah State, the Grambling State, real quick. Mainly the Utah State, just a quick one. And then our next opponent, which will be Gonzaga tomorrow night. So, Brett, what do you have for us?
Well, just focusing on Utah State, the big thing is that after those first few minutes of that game, which were a little rough, Purdue certainly seemed to be in good form, much like they were in the non-conference, in November, December. And so that was really good. So breaking it down as we go through our tiers, our tier 1, Edie Smith and Lawyer, they had 43 combined points. That's something that when they score under 50, you kind of have to put a little question by it. But that was balanced out by our tier 2, Jones, Wren, who had 18, and Gillis. Those three guys had 33 points, so they went well above. And our tier 3, Heidi, Colvin, First, and Morton had 19. And then we even had 11 points from our tier 4 in Berg, Waddell, who had 5, and King. So for that 106 points, what I really like and I want to point out in this game, Utah State, is it was truly a good balanced attack. We talk about our tier 1 guys needing to score at least 50 really to get Purdue over the top. In this case, they didn't, but my goodness, did they have a nice balanced attack in that game. The one thing, and I'll ask you what your thoughts are, that I do want to continue to point out is that Mason Gillis, he was 2 from 3, all from three-point land, but he only shot 3 shots, Brian. This is something that we continue to talk about, because he's one of our tier 2 guys, that we need that balance scoring like we have against Utah, but I would like to have seen Gillis shoot more than 3 times. What are your thoughts?
I just think that we were doing so well across the board, and after about that first 8 minutes, we started to dominate. Everybody started to score. I think it's just one of those things where each guy is like, well, I'm not going to be the one to keep going at it. We'll just, it's like we're a team. Let's go to someone else. I'm not going to just shoot 10 threes. I know we're blowing them out by 40 points by this point. Let's just go with somebody else, whoever's more open than I am. Let's go back to Edie. Let's go to Colvin. Let's go to Heidi. Whoever's open, let's get him shots. Let's bring these other guys in. I think that was the mentality at that point, and why Gillis decided not to just keep going at it, because we were doing so well. Everybody else was scoring. So I think when you have that mentality, you're not thinking about, I've got to do it and keep going. So hopefully they're holding it off until this Gonzaga game, but because we're going to need more productivity, I think, from Gillis than we did Utah State. But maybe he was ready to go before we knew we started to blow these guys out, right? And everybody started scoring, and we just started taking the score up. So I think everybody just sits back and they're like, well, someone else will do the scoring. I don't need to do it.
Yeah, and as we transition this conversation into tomorrow against Gonzaga, now Purdue did beat Gonzaga the last time. And some things to note, I'm looking at stats from the last time. Fletcher Lawyer was 0 for 6, 3 of those 3-pointers.
Yeah.
So that's probably the big one, because he's one of our tier 1 scorers. And we do talk that they certainly need him deep in the tournament, especially when we come up against a team like Gonzaga. Well, any team from here on out for sure. Yep. And I certainly don't see him going 0 for 6 tomorrow. I see Fletcher Lawyer being more on his game tomorrow. He hasn't been lights out, but he certainly has been better and more consistent and not going 0 for 3 from 3-point.
Yeah, when you look at both teams in that first meeting, they had really poor shooting from behind the arc. Both teams weren't very good, right? Yeah. Well, Purdue can get better. Obviously, Gonzaga can get better. But I think we have more of a dagger from that side, I think we recently went to the number one best 3-point shooting team in the country. We were number 2. Now we're back to number 1, but either way, it doesn't matter. So you got to give the edge to Purdue, right? If we're a little better and Gonzaga's a little better, it should give us the advantage. And then you still have Zach. So, but yeah, Lawyer needs to at least get a few of them in there. And I think, like you just said, he's been looking a lot better and he's been looking more confident at just taking those shots, right? So I think we will start to see him tomorrow night. I really believe that he will have a good night tomorrow because Gonzaga's probably thinking, Lawyer didn't do anything against us. We got to stop Edey. We got to stop these other guys. And so he, will probably find a way to come out of his shell, right? Because it didn't happen the first time.
Yeah, I agree. I know that Gonzaga is going to mix things up. They've gone a little bit bigger. The last time we played them, their tier 1 guys, Ike, Nemhard, and Hickman, were their primary guys. And I will say this: I need to point out that they don't go deep into the bench.
Yeah.
The last time Purdue played them, they basically went with 6 guys: Ike, Nemhard, Hickman, Stromer, Watson, and Huff. That's it. All the rest of the guys had 4 points total. Against Kansas, right? Their last game against Kansas, it was basically 7 guys. Gonzaga played 7 guys. Everybody else, they had 5 other players that played, but they only played for 1 minute, and that was it. So Gonzaga doesn't have this deep bench, which I truly think that's going to benefit Purdue if they have to start fouling Zach. I mean, they're not going to be able to do that Wisconsin strategy of we're going to foul 5 guys out. We have 15 fouls to give. I certainly don't see them doing that. The challenge I definitely see for Purdue is that if they do go a bigger lineup, someone like Watson at, I don't know if he's 6'8" or 6'10", those guards, a larger guard lineup, you're looking around at Fletcher Lawyer, 6'4". Those matchups are certainly going to be something that Purdue's going to have to work on, but they did it against Illinois, right?
Yeah.
6'6".
Well,
so
yeah, the thing is, if you go bigger, what do? How do you beat a bigger team? You probably will run the ball a lot more. So
and they will.
Right? Jones and Smith attack the court, down the court, attack the lane more, bring those big guys out, drive around them, right? Dump it off to Edey, dump it off to Ren, our baseline guys, Heidi. I could see Heidi having a good game when he comes in. The bigger guys defend. He gets around, gets the baseline. We dump it off for an alley-oop for him. You might be seeing things like that. So that's the negative of being bigger, trying to go against quicker type guard play. We got small guards, but they're definitely very quick guards. So you could be, what game do you want to play there? And I understand they're trying to go bigger so they can be a little bit more physical with Edey, right? Because everybody still is. We got to find a way to slow Edey up. We're not going to stop him, but if we slow him up, we have a very good chance. Well, you start doing that, you've got all these guard play from Purdue that can hit threes. And if you're trying to stop Edey, hopefully Purdue statistically should be able to dominate from the outside at that point. So you pick your poison, right?
Yeah. I have 2 names, 2 players that I think will fall into that for Purdue going up against these bigger guards from Gonzaga, Heidi and Colvin.
Yeah.
Miles Colvin, he had 9 the last time they played Gonzaga. He was 3 for 5 from 3. And Heidi had 10 points. So between those 2, they had 19.
Yeah.
Heidi, he does a really good job defending a bigger guard. And he did that against, Damask? So I think that Heidi will get some significant playing time. And I think that Miles Colvin, he shows he can hit those threes. I can see him being that X factor, Miles Colvin coming out there and causing Gonzaga some real headaches as they try and double down on Zach. Now, I think Ike will probably try to guard. Will guard Zach, not try, but will guard Zach, and they may try to do a little bit one-on-one, but with some help coverage.
Yeah.
And that's where I can see Zach really, really getting some good assists. And because we know Miles Colvin is not afraid to take those shots.
No.
And I certainly see Miles Colvin coming in there and having opportunities to knock these shots down.
Yeah, and the thing with Miles that you do notice, he's not just trying to hit threes. You see he's athletic enough. He is driving the lane, looking for pull-up shots too. He does that as well. And that's one thing that we were missing. He's just young. I think once he gets the feel of what he's doing and he's out there more, hopefully during the tournament, you're going to see a lot more athletic drives, pull-up 10-footers, and his three-pointers. Like you said, he is not shy. He is confident. When you throw in Heidi, who's starting to turn it around, right? Like you said, his defense on the guard, he's a big 6'7", small 3 or whatever you want to call him. I don't know what Heidi would be, but he could defend the guard plate. He's obviously a great athlete. I think you throw those two in with confidence. They're dumping the ball off to each other. They're moving. The thing with Edey, Gonzaga to me on paper doesn't have the size to really go against him.
No, right? They don't. Not that a lot of teams do, but they're going to do kind of like the Illinois thing of going big on your guards, right? Doing your perimeter guys go big there because Smith at 6 foot and you have Lawyer at 6'4", Jones at 6'2". You see that mismatch, but Purdue handled Illinois on that height mismatch. But I do think that this is where we should see significant contributions from Heidi, from Miles Colvin. TKR, I mean, he showed himself that against Utah State, that what we saw from him in the first Illinois game. If you guys are going to double down on Zach, watch out. TKR has got some moves.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how we will defend the perimeter. I think that's going to be the key tomorrow. I'm not worried about Edey. I'm not worried about him at all. It's how do we defend tomorrow? I think it's going to be less our offense and more defending their perimeter guards. If we are at least kind of hold face there, if you will, I think we'll be just fine. I'm not sure what Painter's going to draw up there, especially if he's bigger on the outside. Obviously, if you're a bigger defensive guard, you're playing offense and you're bigger. So it would be nice to see who he does throw out there. And I think you will see Heidi, right, in that case. Maybe we might see Morton a little bit more from time to time than we did the last 2 games, just to kind of just slow up some of their bigger guard play, right? Just to say, kind of give some rest for some of our other guys. Again, Smith, we're definitely going to need him and Jones to drive the lane, and I think you're going to see Colvin doing that too, to offset the bigger defender guards out there.
Yeah. Speaking of Smith and the fact that he only played 22 minutes, getting 2 quick fouls against Utah State, he's got to button it up. He's going to have to contribute more minutes, but it's nice that he got that rest in that win against Utah State. I know they've had several days, but it's always nice to allow Smith that time to sit there and just make sure that whatever went on with his leg is good. I don't see anything wrong there, but it's just nice to know that he only had to play 22 minutes in that win. And he didn't have to. He had, I think, 5 points. But I agree with you that there will certainly be that perimeter defense for Purdue. What we all know Gonzaga will do is they're going to try and do switches. And because Purdue's drop coverage, Gillis, that's the one thing about Gillis is that he oftentimes will lose his man and he'll get caught, right? Someone will move and he'll leave his man and follow the ball and his man is wide open. I certainly see that happening. I certainly see Gonzaga really trying to capitalize on that, to do a lot of switches, do a lot of picks, not necessarily pick and rolls, because Zach should be able to, he should stay home in that lane. Like he did against Utah State, he did leave and play some perimeter D. I think that against Gonzaga, he needs to stay home because Gonzaga's a good rebounding team. But Gonzaga's going to shoot. They're going to shoot that ball. They know that they're going to have to.
Yeah, a stat that I read is Gonzaga is undefeated when they do the 85-50-30, meaning they score 85 points or better, 50% from 2-point, 30% from 3-point.
Okay.
When their stats are like that, they're undefeated this year. And the first time we met, both teams were way under 30%. We were way under, I don't know what our 2-point percentage was. We were probably higher than them because of Edie. And the score wasn't even that high. So
Yeah.
both teams, right? It's going to be a totally different type of game tomorrow. I think we're going to look at what Painter decides to do because we know what Gonzaga is going to try to do. It's been all out there, right? In the write-ups and them talking about what they're going to have to do against Zach. I think for us it's just fundamental perimeter defense. I think that's all it's gonna take, and just don't turn the ball over. And it's a broken record. Don't turn the ball over for Purdue. And I just feel like we are on a mission. Obviously we're not out there to play the game, but I think these guys really do feel that this is their run, right? You just have you feel it. You just feel it that they're going to find a way to pull it together. And I think this Utah State game was a huge confidence builder for the rest of the team. The guys that came in and scored, even the tier 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah, Waddell.
Right?
Oh, my goodness.
Right? We had a couple 3 from those guys. So, obviously it's Utah State. It's not Gonzaga. But Utah State, we were favored by only 10.5 points against them. We ended up beating them by 39, and it could have been 50. We took out all of their guys, right? So they're a good team, and I read that they were ranked number 20 coming into the NCAA tournament. So beating a team by 40 that was ranked number 20 is a pretty doggone good feat, right?
Yeah.
And if we can continue this on, and it looks like hopefully we will with this confidence, and that's all it really is for us. It's just be confident, get out there and shoot the ball, do what you need to do, right? Don't turn the ball over. We'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. That confidence, getting those guys, finding the hot shooter and knowing that if you're knocking it down and you get that ball back, don't miss an opportunity. But absolutely, what I certainly see there, Purdue is the change. There's not going to be a lot of change on the offensive end, right? They're going to go to Edie. Like we always say, that if Edie is man covered, you go down to him.
Yeah.
Because if Gonzaga doesn't have a lot of depth, if they really play only 7 guys, can you imagine if they start getting into some foul trouble, which they probably won't. They don't foul, which means that if they don't foul, that means that Edie should have he should not have a very difficult time when he catches that ball in a good place to be able to get that shot up. He's gonna have to make them and not earn a living at the free throw line. I would not expect until if Purdue can put some distance, late in the game, then they certainly will. But I don't see a lot of free throws in this game, and I see rebounding and turnovers are going to be key. And Painter said that every time, right? Rebounding and turnovers.
Yeah, and I think you saw a little bit against Utah State when Zach had the ball. He got double, triple teamed, and Ren dropped down to the box. He passed off to him for a layup. And I think you'll see that too. If they're pushing Zach away from the basket, because that's what they're going to try to do.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to do 1, 2-man, smaller guys on him 5 feet from the basket. He'll just get him in foul trouble or he'll score. They're going to try to push him away from the get-go. But if he does get the ball 8 feet away, he's shown that he could score from 8 feet. But I think Painter's going to have Ren and Heidi on the baseline side wherever the opposite side that Edie is on being pushed up top, instead of looking to pass out for the 3, he will do that, but look down for Ren or Heidi driving the lane, right? Because their defenders have come up to help Edie. Now it's going to be wide open under the basket. Alley-oop to Heidi. You don't have to even dribble pass to him. You can just throw it up in the air if you're Edie. Hold the ball above your head, toss it up. There goes Heidi. Bounce pass to Ren underneath. He has a great layup, right? So I think that's what we will see if Gonzaga's plan to push Edie away from the basket, which is what I think they're going to try to do.
Well, of course, that's what they all have to try to do. All the teams, it says that Gonzaga's going to have to do it without fouling. If Gonzaga starts getting some big guys in foul trouble, it's going to change their strategy, and they're just going to have to let Zach get his points. And I see as we look to tomorrow, we need to have some shooters. We have to be able to allow Zach, when he gets doubled, instead of trying to score, he's looking for an opportunity, right? Instead of saying I got to look to score, I'm looking for that opportunity, whether I'm close enough to where I can get that shot, or if they doubled up on me, I find somebody out there who's going to be open and willing to take that shot, because they can drop these things, right? If he's out there at any moment, you have Fletcher Lawyer out there, you could have Gillis, you could have Smith, you could have Heidi, you could have Colvin. I mean, you've got some good shooters that are supporting cast that Zach I really hope to see him have a whole bunch of assists, right? Yeah. Get his 20, get his 10 rebounds, and then have some other guys. I really hope to see Jones tomorrow. I really want Jones to have a good night. He was against Utah State. He was 2 for 7, 2 for 5 from 3. So Jones really he's doing well on his defense and really controlling and bringing some energy. I really hope to see. I want to see Jones have a good night tomorrow. Drop some buckets.
I think we will, because, like you said, he hasn't really shown up lately. I think he's in the moment of NCAA. He's never been there before. But I think now, as we're in the third game, we should see him settle down in the sense of not pulling up 30-foot shots like he did a couple times. Yeah. But I see him tomorrow really attacking the rim. I would be surprised if we do not see him attacking the rim tomorrow, trying to get these guys in foul trouble, since they don't go very deep, right? Get their guards in foul trouble, right? If Nembhard, if he's guarding Jones, attack the rim. Get those top guards in foul trouble, and that's what you need to do, right? If you're not hitting from three, and I think that's where he realizes that is his, that's his specialty, is out-quicking, driving to the lane, right? And I think we're going to see that more tomorrow.
Yeah. My takeaway for tomorrow is no turnovers. Don't commit stupid fouls. Really just control the game. Slow it down. I think Gonzaga is going to try and push it a little bit. And while our starters are in there, I don't like to see that. I just want every opportunity they can to set something up. I'm hoping they do that. Sometimes they take some quick shots when they could just set up a good one. Yeah. And I really think that we're going to see our tier 2 guys, tier 2 and tier 3, stepping up. I see our tier 3, Heidi and Colvin. I can see those two guys really matching up well, and be able to show some of that athleticism that we've seen from them, and really giving Gonzaga some issues, especially when Zach is sitting. That's when I can see Purdue going, right? Taking it up and really running and getting some good shots and good opportunities. And
Ren was looking good too. So you got Ren starting to come around. You got Heidi and Colvin starting to come around, those are the 3 guys that we really need to go deep here. Yeah. And Smith, not great game, right? 2 fouls, he's out. Jones, like you said, not a great game, but we still ended up winning by almost 40 points because we had help from everybody else.
Yeah. And good balanced shooting.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't turn it over. Attack the rim, get our rebounds. We should be fine. It's going to be close, like it always is. The first 8 minutes, right? Don't get concerned the first 8 minutes, unless they're blowing us out, which I don't believe it's going to happen. But we got to, with all the pieces that we have, I'm starting to see it takes us a little bit more time during a game to figure out what our pieces are and who's going to show up and, how to change things up. And I think Painter is learning how to adapt better now with the game plan that starts. So he'll look at Gonzaga, see how they deal with us for the first few minutes of the game. And that's why it's always kind of close. And then you see the timeout, and then you see us coming out in a totally different way. Like he figures it out. Like he realizes, okay, Now I know what we need to do, right? Matchups. Or at halftime we come out. We're starting to look way better after halftime than we have in the last few couple of years. Now, I think that's what we're going to see tomorrow, right? Get it a few minutes, see how and what Gonzaga is going to do, and then we start to adapt.
Yeah, the main thing that I see, if Gonzaga, because it's 40 minutes in this game, there are 40 minutes. You can certainly see Gonzaga coming out hot and going on a big run, and it's at the first timeout at 16. Gonzaga's up 8 because they hit 2 threes and all this kind of stuff. And the main thing that Purdue has to do, if that happens, just understand it's a 40-minute game and they started hot, but it takes 40 minutes. It's an entire 40 minutes. And at some point, you're going to have your opportunity to get hot and go on your run. It's just always settling down, work good shots, don't let them continue to stay hot. Don't give them those opportunities. No turnovers, make your rebounds, and take good shots. Yeah. Don't sit there and just, if you've got to run, don't sit there and just pull up when you could settle. You could settle into a good offensive set.
Yeah, I think with these first 2 games, we were very nervous, especially in the Grambling State game. We blew them out. It took some edge off, but then the Utah State game, hype. Oh, they're a good team. Top 20 team. We're favored by 10.5. Still, is Purdue going to be able to do it? I feel like they were a little nervous that game, at least starting off. But now,
we all were, weren't we?
Yeah. But I think after those 2 victories, the way we pulled it off, I think these guys are going to come in tomorrow gunning for Gonzaga, way optimistic, in a good way, right? Motivated, positive mindset. We're going to go out there. Everybody's going to take charge. When we need you, you're going to come out and you're going to produce for us. And I think that is now their mentality. They realize, okay, here we go. 4 more games, guys. We're done with 2. We got 4 more to go. Let's take this one tonight. And everybody shows up like we did. We're going to be okay.
Yeah, and I think that what you just said is key, that everyone shows up. And Utah State gave them the confidence that they can perform to make those shots, to have some good defensive sets out there. And so, that game, the fact it was a good balanced game from all our tiers, that these guys are hungry. When you see, when I watched the post Utah State game and Zach answering questions, he's not satisfied with where they're at. They didn't come back for that. They came back to make a deep run, and he is. And every time he's interviewed since this tournament has started, he has been. You can just tell he is extremely focused. And I know it's great to see he's focused. I just hope that the rest of the guys are confident and focused, because if they're confident and they're focused, we're not going to see these guys afraid to take that shot, afraid to move and penetrate into the middle to either get somebody else open or take a good 8 to 10 footer. I'm just hoping as we look to tomorrow that we see these guys, everyone willing to, they want that ball. I want to be the one that if there's 3 seconds left on the clock, I'll take that shot. That's what I'm hoping we have. These guys are just out there wanting to score.
Yeah. I think now we are more motivated and driven to keep going. I think these first 2 games got them even more confident and more hungry to win the whole thing. I really believe we're going to come out and see these guys just going after it, right? I really believe so. That's what we needed. These first 2 performances, the way we came out, it wasn't like we won by 3 or 5. After a few minutes of the start of the game, we dominated both of these teams, right? It shows that these guys realize we are really good, right? Yeah. We are unbeatable when we play like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I think don't turn it over. Hopefully no injuries. We should get it done tomorrow. I don't know. I don't want to throw out a score prediction. I always feel like I jinx it all the time, but we should be fine. But with that said, anything else other than enjoy the game tomorrow, everybody?
No, you're right. just don't make stupid mistakes. Don't turn that ball over. Just settle in. And that's the thing about that's where confidence comes from. So as we look to tomorrow, whoever has that ball, the confidence to know that they don't just have one option. That's to find someone to pass it to. Everyone out there confidently knows I have several options. I can move with the ball. I can shoot. I can find that open guy. That's what we need from these guys tomorrow, to execute, rebound, don't turn it over, good, solid defense, and Purdue should be able to handle Gonzaga and move on.
Yeah, at this point, it's just winning the games. It's not about blowing anybody out. All that matters is you just win and move on, and that's what their mentality is going to be tomorrow. Let's just win and move on.
Yep.
So
and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Good show. Please leave any comments down below for next podcast if you guys have anything you want us to talk about. But other than that, the game's tomorrow night at 7:30. Hopefully Purdue comes out, which we believe they will, and take charge, and we move on to the Elite Eight. That's our plan. That's our goal. And we'll leave it on the floor for the guys. So, Brett, anything else?
Nope. Just it's 40 minutes.
Yes.
Just whatever happens the first few minutes is not the way the game ends. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to a really good game tomorrow. I'm excited.
Me too. Yep. All right. That's we're all done here. So we'll chat it up next time, see how the game goes, and we'll have another one hopefully Friday or Saturday.
Sounds good.
So, all right.
All right. Boiler up,
See
Brian.
you later. Boiler up, everybody. We'll hopefully talk on a positive note next time. See you guys later.
We'll see you later. Bye.
See ya. Bye.